Woodmead, that's north of Johannesburg today, for the latest in the series of New Age business briefings brought to you by the SABC and very kindly sponsored by 49M Eskom, making sure that these conversations continue to happen. And today, well, it's the 6th of May, and this is a few days after May Day, Workers' Day in South Africa, International Workers' Day, which is celebrated around the world. Some countries, I think 7 in Africa, even have it as a public holiday to celebrate the workers, the guys and women that are keeping the economy turning, and it's an opportunity, I guess, for us to remember the challenges, the plight of workers that continues, and the fight that they still have to fight to make sure that workers and their rights and working conditions continue to improve over time. So, to unpack what those challenges remain, or the progress that's being made, it's my great pleasure to welcome the President and First Deputy-President of the Federation of Cosatu to talk to us. Hear me? Ah, there we go. To talk to us about those challenges, and let me begin by introducing the President of Cosatu. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good morning to you and the viewers out there.
And to you, Mr. Tyotyo James, the First Deputy-President, thank you very much indeed for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Peter, and good morning to the viewers out there.
All right, let's start with May Day, Workers' Day. Big celebrations for workers across the world, and South Africa in particular, since 1994. What were the main messages of your celebrations around the country this year?
Yeah, Peter, we should first thank the workers of South Africa, Cosatu unions and the leadership that ensured that we celebrated this day, an international day, in the style that we did at a time when people would have been quite on the opposite of supporting that day in as far as Cosatu is concerned. And members really came out in big numbers and ensured that a message was sent out for everybody to know Cosatu is a force to reckon with in South Africa. Indeed, we are celebrating highlighting the plight of the workers, both international and locally, meaning in South Africa, but also emphasizing the importance of solidarity amongst workers, because we have one enemy, it's monopoly capital. Whatever union we could be in, whatever sector, if we stand together, nobody can defeat us. We're sending that message of the unity of the workers because we say, workers of the world, unite. You have nothing to lose but the chains that keep you in bondage. So we're sending that message, but also to highlight the current issues. Before we could even do that, we're saying we are coming on the shoulders of many heroes and heroines who stood before us, before even Cosatu was born. They ensured that there are unions. They ensured that they fought for the defense of the workers. Cosatu would have been born in 1985, and it took about 4 years to get those 33 unions to meet and establish this federation out of 33 unions at the time, comprising of 500,000 members. Today, we are 1.9 million. We are not proud that that's the biggest federation in South Africa, because you still have 9.7 million workers in South Africa who do not belong to any union. So the task and the jury would have been out there to say, let's reach out. There are more who must come into the fold of the Workers' Federation, Cosatu. We're also highlighting the fact that poverty, unemployment, inequality still remain our major challenge that we have got to confront. The reality of the spatial development in our localities is still there. The reality of the disparities of the economic structure in our country. Did you know that in the top 2,500 richest people in South Africa, not a single one of them, there is not a single African. Top 2,500 top richest people here in South Africa still excludes us. That tells you there's a lot of work to do. Workers are still languishing in poverty. They walk to work, or they work to walk because there is no other savings that they can depend on for their livelihoods. So they would save by walking to work, long distances. The labor brokers are an issue. We have to stand together and work for the unity of workers in South Africa so that we can fight the battles that are ahead.
Okay, all right. So it's a great introduction and setting up of this conversation, and we'll unpack a lot of the issues that you raised shortly, one by one. But if I could turn to you, Deputy President. So, President, as Dumo said, that the plight of the workers continues, the struggle continues, poverty and inequality and unemployment continues. Then I have to ask you, in your 30 years, what have you done? The beginning years, I think it was quite clear. You led the road to liberation and to democracy. Since then, what can you point to in terms of Cosatu's contribution to the workers in dealing with some of these issues?
Before Cosatu was born, workers' wages were very, very low. But I'm not suggesting that today wages are better. That's the first thing we focused on, improving the wages of our workers, improving the working conditions of our workers. We have done that, but that is not enough. There's still a lot to be done. The second thing we did, we managed to unite workers to understand who their enemy is. Remember, workers were divided. If you go to the mining sector, for instance, workers were divided in terms of tribal groups. This Cosatu and the National Union of Mine Workers united those workers to understand that they are one. They can't defeat their enemy if they are tribal groupings. They must recognize themselves as workers.
Okay, all right. So improvements are there, and unity is something that you mentioned. But, President, there can't be unity, surely. We just had a workers' summit this weekend. 3,000 delegates representing 50 unions, we're told. And it's a breakaway from your union. How can we talk about unity when all we're seeing actually is a breaking away of the unions?
You are spot on. We have argued the point. Whilst we respect anybody's right to form a union, a federation, even when we have 23 federations already in South Africa, who are grappling with just less than 4 million workers, when we have 9.7 million unorganized. That doesn't add any value to unity of workers in South Africa. So we would respect the right of the people to form a federation, but we have said if such a federation is formed to swipe and throw missiles at Cosatu, that's not the right reason to form a federation. And we would wish them luck. But what we can tell South Africans now, Cosatu has 18 affiliates. Even today, those affiliates remain 18 affiliates of Cosatu. There may be issues internally, this and that. They are in Cosatu and ready to raise their issues internally. Not a single one has gone to a Congress that said, let's go to a new federation. We are happy to report that to this audience and South Africa at large. But the issue of unity remains tested in South Africa as long as we're not focusing on building a united labor movement in South Africa. So we are firm in saying, even those who are working to form a new federation, let them remember, at one point they stood for a one country, one federation.
All right, so you can imagine the struggle that a worker has now when he sees his union splitting in this way. And I'm just wondering, how is it that you can convince them to join the unions if all they're seeing is this splitting up? What are you failing to do in terms of convincing them if you can't keep yourselves together? Yeah?
Well, can I just come on that one? And I know the president will also come in. So Cosatu was formed on basic founding principles. One union, one industry, paid up membership, non-racialism, solidarity or international solidarity, democratizing the workplace, non-sexism. The founders of Cosatu were clear that that glue is what will keep us together. We should appreciate, though, that as time went on, the workplace has been depleted. What you would call the value chain has been changing. The mistake that perhaps Cosatu should take responsibility on was not to get into a discussion about that reality. And appreciate that now the workplace is changing. We need to talk and ensure that we keep ourselves united. But we are saying we come from a Congress. The Congress says, let's go back to basics. And what are these basics? Recruit, service those members that are there, ensure that you strengthen centralized bargaining or collective bargaining, ensure that we are out on the ground. General meetings are the thing. Very important. Taking mandates to workers. Organizers going out to the workplaces. Shop stewards doing what they are supposed to do, representing the interest of the member. We should go back to basics, because that's going to help us to attract those who are outside to come into the federation. Now, there's a challenge that because time has been developing in the manner that it has, there is money in trade unions, there is a lot of other things, people hungry for power. We have been depleting our unions. And now our Congress has said to all of us, starting from the leadership at the top, the leadership of the unions, shop stewards, go and unite the members. It is that message that is critical. And uniting members mean going to them, servicing them, recruiting more members, go to the train stations, go to the taxi ranks with forms of all the unions, distribute and make people to join the union and distribute them correct to the relevant union.
Okay. First Deputy President, I guess, again, I'll keep going back to the worker, because he has to make a choice now. Which federation, which union must he join? You're putting him in a difficult situation when he really doesn't need to be there. You should be holding it together. Why did you fail to keep it together?
I don't think we have failed to keep workers together, particularly in the fold of Cosatu. We can't help people who are overzealous about power, who want to divide workers, create new federations because they want power. We are making a call to all workers in South Africa that the best federation that will represent your interests is Cosatu. It was founded to do that, and it will continue to do that. Even when myself and the president, we are no longer in the leadership of Cosatu, Cosatu will continue to do what it is doing now, based on its founding principles.
All right. Earlier on, you talked about the non-unionized labor in South Africa. So figures vary between 26 and 29%
Sure.
That are actually belonging to unions. When I look worldwide, union activity is actually shrinking. So South Africa wouldn't be different, I would imagine. Why aren't people joining unions? Why are they looking to other alternatives to deal with the issue?
Yes. Again, Cosatu acknowledged that fact at the 10th National Congress of Cosatu. And we began to say, let's accept times have been changing. The member today is no more the same with the member in 1985. He has a degree. He wants things done faster, never involved in any struggle, will only go to a union when he thinks or she feels she's in trouble. The education, particularly targeting our youth in this country. We have resolved on that. In Cosatu, we now have the youth structure derived from Cosatu unions, because we want to tap exactly into that space where our youth must be correctly introduced into the union, accepting that they are coming in. They constitute 60% of the membership of Cosatu unions. That's a serious number. And also in the country, the youth constitute more than 60%. So we've begun to
You know what I'm
work on
going to do?
that.
I'm going to take a quick break, and I do want to unpack this youth element, because they're the most vulnerable, most unemployed, and the ones that we need to create jobs for as well. So I want you to finish that answer, but let's take a quick break, and don't forget, Morning Live SABC is our Twitter handle if you'd like to share your thoughts with us as well.